Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today brought a PTR build. 12.1 second build of the actual PTR with raid testing coming in a couple days from now, Thursday and Friday. I'll be streaming that on Twitch if you want to come by. Link down below, plugs, all that kind of stuff. And with that came some Warlock changes. So today, talking about those, and probably talking about Warlock and what is happening or really not happening with, Warlock on PTR. A little worried. Okay, so we're just gonna jump into it, man. My camera's not straight. Let's fix that. So there were, when it comes to this week's PTR build, I'm gonna zoom in, and this is very zoomed out. When it comes to this week's PTR build, there's not a whole lot here. This is a pretty empty build. They're adding in the Venomous Abyss. Oh, sorry, they're testing this week in Venomous Abyss. The Altar of Fangs dungeon is available Thursday. I assume after raid testing. I might test that on Thursday, probably more this weekend, because I want to get testing footage on YouTube. But there's no M+ around, unless this is M+. I don't know if this indicates M+ being a thing, but no M+, raid testing Thursday and Friday, but class changes are the more interesting thing here. They're nerfing Earth and Experience stuff, whatever. Now, some classes and specs got changes today, like Frosty K, for example. Dev notes and stuff here, they're changing certain things. A lot of classes got like healing or defensive changes or like throughput changes and stuff, like healing throughput, due to the increased health and damage scaling they're putting in 12.1, right? So like DK got changes, obviously. Demon Hunter got some changes. Druid got some stuff here. And like Evoker, healing, Molten Blood stuff, Monks on Sanctuary, Expel Harm, Paladin got a couple of things here, cool elementary things, but like Shaman got some changes, and a lot of classes down here. Warlock, Warrior got some more Drain Life healing, Zephyr's Resilience stuff, Ignore Pain, Absorb Increase, mainly due to the health changes incoming, right? No Priest changes at all from what I saw, so some classes didn't get anything at all. Now, as far as Lock is concerned, this is what we got more or less. There are a couple of changes that I want to show you all today that weren't documented here. They probably should have been, but don't get your hopes up. So these are the data mine changes for Warlock that hit today on PTR. This is probably the biggest change. We'll get to that in a minute. So these are all like, I think, changes from last week and stuff. I don't know what, maybe it's just data mine from last week. I'm not really sure. There's the Drain Life and Dark Pack values being increased for the health modifiers. So there's one change here. Well, this change. And Tauren armaments. So this might not seem like a big change, but if this is the change that I think it is, it's actually more impactful than it may seem. So I'm going to try and show you it here in game, and I'll also show you the AF change that came in. We're going to go to the Dingle Dome, which is right over here. Very nice. We all love the Dingle Dome, the new testing area. Let's head over there. Excuse me, sir. So this, where's the dude at? Oh, my game froze. PTR is this cool thing where it just freezes whenever you do anything now for like a few seconds. It's great. Go to the Dingle Dome. So for those who don't know, Tyrant, his cleave within Tauren armaments is actually like really narrow. It's like, as in like the cone that he cleaved. When I hear a cone, I think an area of like this, like that to that, or like a widespread cone. Tyrant's cone is like this. It's like a fucking line. Sorry, I'm a little excessive, but it's like a line, man. It's like quite often when you had Tyrant cleaving like multiple mobs in front of your Tyrant. I'm passionate about this because it's been annoying for a while. When you had multiple mobs in front of your Tyrant, like for example, it might show it here, it might not. It depends on the angle of the Tyrant. But let's see. My actions. Let's see if we can edit this real fast. I want to see pet damage. Combat, just pet, right? So the angle of the Tyrant, the number of mobs the Tyrant hit is dependent on the angle of the Tyrant and which mob he is facing when he's in melee. For example, if he spawned in like right here, and was hitting this one, he would cleave like this one and this one, like these two in the back. He wouldn't cleave these three because his cone is like so narrow. So chances are very high. People are just losing crazy amount of Tauren armaments cleave, or were until this change came in. So now we're on PTR. I'm gonna spawn him in. Let's get into combat. I don't want so many pets or anything. Let's get into combat. Attack. It should show his damage. He's cleaving. Cool. He's cleaving one mob. Change targets. Go over there. Now he's cleaving 2. Go here. Now he's cleaving 3. Right? He's standing in the middle of them, you see? He's like cleaving around himself. So it's still scuffed, apparently. That's great. I don't know what the change does then. But you can see, like, when I had him on this mob here, each damage event, it's like he's cleaving one mob. He's hitting this and cleaving literally one mob, right? Maybe, yeah, it's getting bumped out. But there's one mob there, one mob. Then I changed targets, and he began hitting 2, somewhere in here. It's all jumping around because these imps are casting still. But I changed him again. Now he's hitting 3 targets, or he was in the middle of them. So he was like standing. He was hitting this one, standing there. So he was cleaving like in a radius like this. I assume this change would affect that. Apparently it doesn't. I don't know. Okay, well, scratch that one off the list. But either way, there's that. If you didn't know that, yeah, chances are very high your tyrant is not really cleaving anything at all compared to what you might thought it had been doing. So there's that. Second change here, let me clear out the Dingle Dome real fast, is Affliction. So this is actually a cool change. Demonology is still bugged, by the way. Whenever you implode with the Hellenbach Talented, it spawns in 1 Imp Gang boss per Imp imploded and not 2. It's not a tier set bug, it's just a Hellenbach bug. I don't know where it came from. Didn't get fixed this week, so testing is gonna be really weird. Affliction. So they did change the way the tier set functions in a good manner. The 2-piece is also still bugged for Affliction. You don't have the 20% refund rate. You don't have Soul Conduit on here. But they did fix the way that Affliction works with the 4-piece, which is the Corruption and the UA applications and the stacking effect. For those who don't know, each active UA you have increases your damage dealt by your spells by 2 up to 3 times. 6%. Seed applies UA at half effectiveness to your target. So they didn't make it so every seed applies UA if you're playing Sow the Seeds with seed, but it applies. How do I phrase this? Basically, I'll just show this. So basically, I have 1 UA active now. I'm going to cast a second one. I have 2 stacks. A third. Now I have 3 stacks. Last week, I'd have 1 stack here with 3 rolling. Last week, it was only based on individual applications of UA on different targets. If you had stacks of UA, 1 UA but multiple stacks on target, it would not give the stacking effect. So they actually changed that. So now you can get the full 6% in AoE. In single target, obviously, is better. Hitting 1 mob, you're not losing out on your 4-piece. That's cool. It's a good change. If you're in AoE, let me just generate some shards here. I'll cast Seed. So watch it. I'll just stay on this main target here, like my haunt target, right? So there's 1 seed, 1 UA. Seed again, main target, 2 stacks, 2 stacks. Seed again, main target, 3 stacks, 3 stacks. Go over here and seed again. It maintains the 3 stack. 1 stack falls here, still 3 stacks. So they removed the need to like sort of hop around and spread multiple seeds on the different main targets like we had with Doom before. Now you can just seed your haunt target and roll multiple UA stacks on that, which actually is pretty impactful. It will lead to pretty good funnel in M+. That's pretty cool. Now the issue with AF though is that like its main issues in plus are not funnel. Its main issues are single target when you don't have ads to funnel on. When you're hitting a single target boss, you don't do single target damage because all your abilities are over here. You get no modifiers to cascading or fatal or Xavier's Gambit or other single target modifiers. You can't get them because you're AoEing. So there's that. Now, my concern, and this is like, I don't want to ramble too far in the video with this, but this is like, those are all the changes today. That's that. My concern for Warlock, I know that this is week 2 of PTR, and things change, changes come a bit later on, but this is raid testing week. You know, and obviously, I just play the game. I love the game. I want it to be as fun and enjoyable as possible. There's a decent bit of problems with Warlock stuff. Right? Now, every class has problems. I think Affliction, the new version of AF with unstable Affliction and things, I like UA Spender bringing back. I think it's fun. I like Seed with So. I think it's back. If we're going to leave the tree in this form, just bring back Rapture, man. I don't want to deal with this single target AoE, one or the other thing. Just literally just bring back Rapture. And I don't mind Rapture. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. They're not bringing it back, obviously. But there are no competitive specs in this game that are part of a meta comp that do, like, only single target or only AoE. The classes that are good and the classes that see play are the ones that are tuned well, but also can do both. Look at Demonology, for example. It's single target, stat cleave, meat grinder. The vast majority of raid fights are either like stat cleave fights, ad fights, or stat council cleave fights nowadays, man. Long gone are council-based fights. And don't get me wrong, the tier set does help feed into like funnel damage, but funnel damage is not single target damage. It is in a sense, but it's not where we lack, right? Like putting up multiple UAs on a prio mob with Haunt and AoE is gonna be fine because you're still spamming Seed, still doing AoE in that setting and funneling down the prio target. But when all the ads are gone and you have to hit a target in single target, you have no Xavius's Gambit, you have no Cascading, you have no Echoes, you have no Malefic Grasp, you don't have Eye Contract for Malefic Grasp extension, you don't have these modifiers in ST that you need to do damage. Now, this tier set might change things. It looks like it might just change things. You spam Seed and single target over UA, which is insane in a bad way. It's funny, but it's not really cool. I'm really hoping, if anybody from Blitz watches this, like in a passionate way, like we really need to fix AF tree. Going a whole patch with this new fun version of AF with the UA spender and things like this, it doesn't work. And like fixing a problem through a tier set, which I like this set, but this set does not fix the problem. And band-aiding a spec with a tier set is not what needs to happen to a spec that's like new, flashy, really cool, throwback spec, fundamentally really cool. But you've got single target or AoE. There's no middle ground. We did all the feedback videos with everybody. You know, obviously I don't work with Blizz or anything, but there's plenty of awesome ideas in there, in the lock Discord, on the forums, everywhere. Like we see them find some way to change this tree where you can get these single target elements and the AoE elements. You don't need them, you don't need all of them to be a god at everything, but you can't have the single target or AoE. We haven't played AF since Castle Nathri in a competitive setting. We had it for 2 days in Omega, and then it got nerfed for no reason. Like, we have to find some way to fix this. And I know that it's week 2 of PTR. It's not super late, but we are getting into testing of the raid. We have this week, Thursday and Friday, raid testing. Next week, no testing. The week after is Mythic. And I class changes are not going to come that late. Like, being honest, next week's probably the last week for big changes to a class tree or spec tree. I really doubt they do major class changes like this a month into a PTR. It's probably next week. It probably was this week being real, but it might be next week. And it's not just Affliction. Like, I think Demonology is more or less fine. Like, AF and Demo are bugged for testing, so it's going to be doing less damage. Demo's going to be destroying everything on testing because it's bugged, but whatever. But Destro's capstones also need a lot of attention, man. Like, we're in a spot where, like, Destro has fundamentally just gotten less exciting than what it was in War Within. We made changes just to make changes. We didn't need to make changes. Like, Overlord's in a lesser form than it was without, like, the Ritual of Ruin play. And, like, I think there's cool elements of Destro here, but, like, Decimation Soulfire was more exciting. I know we reduced the cast time, but it's still, like, not the same thing. When the button was glowing and you hit it and you launch this big red beach ball of fire, super sick. Nowadays, you just hit it when it comes off cooldown. You don't care anymore. Overlord spawns in, attached to Soulfire, rather have Decimation, rather have Ritual of Ruin. Our other talents here, I mean, like we're not even taking Devastation anymore. You pass through a dead AoE talent to get Embers so you can get other things down here. Conflagration Chaos was up here before, right? It was up here. Half our talents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, realistically 7 or 8 are all passive modifiers. You don't feel any of this. The only thing you feel as far as captains are concerned are Embers, these two, and I guess the CDR here, but you don't even feel the CDR once you're used to it, right? Like, they're all just passive nodes, and like CDF's just not played. This is like below tank damage and Burning Crusade level of bad. Without extension, without like the cast time reduction and everything else on RDF, and with like Roaring Blaze being a thing with spreading withers now and stuff, this is not needed unless you buff the damage a crazy amount on CDF. It's just not going to be played. We're skipping over Devastation in certain builds to go into Rapidity to like, you know, save a talent point to get Inferno. Like, it's 2 points to get here versus 1 point to get here, so we can put a point here instead. And like half our capstones like passive modifier. It doesn't even do anything in single target. Passive modifier, and like lesser versions that we had before. I'm not saying you have to come in and reinvent the wheel, but like, and having like Devastation and Ruin, it's like fine in a sense of their gates, but like in conjunction with like this being taken in single target, and Chaos Incarnate, and Inferno, and improved Chaos Bolt, even like Conflagration of Chaos that was up here, it's purely passive. You don't feel this thing. It's just like there, you know, like, it just doesn't feel very exciting anymore. And the fact that we ended up removing Blackened Soul from Rain of Fire giving stacks to it with Wither, they also removed Seed, which wasn't mentioned at all. Seed has been removed from Blackened Soul as well. Like, if you're playing AF and casting Seed as Hellcaller, Seed of Corruption no longer gives stacks to Blackened Soul, to Wither either. Not mentioned at all anywhere, but that also is a thing. Hellcaller is like just dead. I don't know what we're doing with it. It's just dead right now. Like, I mentioned that we were going to try and increase the funnel or single target emphasis of Hellcaller. We just nerfed the AoE and didn't buff anything in single target. And like, the way to make it more relevant in a certain spot is not to nerf the other aspect of it to make it worse, which just subliminally makes the lesser part being ST better. Like you buff the ST, or you buff the funnel, right? I don't really know the direction of Hellcaller. It just seems dead everywhere. And I don't get the direction of Destro anymore. Like, if we're removing Rain of Fire from giving Black and Soul stacks, and I mean, AF also has Seed being removed, like, Hellcaller is not going to be played in M+ anymore. And then you've got Diabolus also just playing Chaos Bolt builds sometimes, and like, if we're not going to like incentivize Rain of Fire, just remove it. Like, Rain of Fire has never been in a good spot. It's always been like fundamentally busted or just not as good. It needs buffs. Like, there's been seldom few times where Rain of Fire has been good or like not good in a place where it's stable. It's always like Rain of Fire is busted, nerf it. Rain of Fire is too bad, alright, buff it a bit, make a new talent. It's good, it's too good, nerf it. It's really good, it's subpar. It's a circle of of mediocrity. And like, at this point, if you're taking away from Black and Soul, just remove it from the game. Bring back like old toggleable Fire and Brimstone. Let us AoE Chaos Bolts and Incinerates that way. If Rain of Fire has not worked in like 6 years, like, it's worked, but it's been either too strong or just not good enough. And I don't know what we're doing with Hellcaller. The Capstones need serious help, and AF needs help with this single target and AoE thing. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's at a place like, you know, Bash Blizzard, not at all. I'm passionately. I'm passionate about this. I want the class to be fun and exciting. I think Lock is fun to play, and it's good, but there's just so many things where, like, I don't understand this. If you turn the cheek to this, yeah, Demo's fun. Destro can be fun at certain times in cleave fights. And AF can be fun if you're in single target or if you're in AoE. Like, Demonology loses no damage at all playing pure single target build to M+ build. You have the same, pretty much the exact same ST sim in M+ build or AoE build as you do single target. Affliction loses like 30k, like, if you're playing the M+ build. Like, there's just too much disparity here. We have to go back and fix this. I know that like PTR is here and stuff. We need to like, these are glaring issues. Like, and I know that time is short, and obviously everyone's human and all that. I'm not making excuses. I'm not making fun of anybody, but like, there are glaring issues here. And like, AF, this is the first tier of like AF being back to UA. I think they did a pretty good job designing the spec. There are issues, but if they're fixed, it's not a big deal. It wouldn't even take that much to fix them. A bit of reshuffling in the tree, and like, we can get there. New talents to maybe bridge the gap between like both single target and AoE. It's not the end of the world. It was a problem with Dread Touch and Doom Bossing back in the day, and they ended up working it out. It was fine, right? But if we're in it, I just don't want another tier with these capstones going live the way they are. They're all just like passive. Destro's been the same way for the last like 20 years, man. It feels like I'm playing a lesser version of Destro than I was in Warcraft, lesser than it was in Dragonflight, and like, it's just sort of a mess. And then you go into Affliction, and it's just like, cool, I love UA Spender. It's really, it sims the same as Demonology when you're both playing single target builds. When you swap to the M+ build, it tanks, it loses like 30% of its single target, and Demo loses 10 DPS. Like, it's insane, right? It's really fun, but like, you know, it's just not competitive in the stack cleave meat grinder world that is World of Warcraft right now. Like, specs that do one or the other, they don't work. They just don't work anymore. And I don't think it's like really good. It's not a good way to have specs. It's specs. It's not a good way to have. It's not. Specs shouldn't be designed around single target or AoE only. And I don't believe that it was designed intentionally this way. It probably just happened over the course of a tier. It went live during, you know, beta and things. It got some changes towards like the later part of beta with like Dark Lair changing and Dark Harvest changing and Grasp changing. I think the other version that we had in Alpha was actually better than this. It was more exciting, but we need to find some way to bridge the gap here, come in and change these talents, right? I mean, Destro's tier set also just needs to be reworked fully. Like, Destro's tier set is, I love the Apex for Destro. I know it's passive. I think it's super cool. I love the Sargeras Flames. It's super sick. I don't really notice them a whole lot when I'm doing things, but I have never seen a more empty tier set than this, man. Like, nobody wants Incinerate damage increases. We want like Chaos Bolt buffs, or we want Bolt to hit hard. Like, and even if Incinerate gives you that 1 in 10 chance to evoke an Echo Sargeras, brother, when I'm in a raid setting or M+ and there's Wingdings and Whirlybirds flying around, I don't see this thing landing. I never see this thing landing. The Titan Beam. It's cool. Maybe once in a blue moon I do, but I rarely ever see it triggering. And the thing is, even if it does, I will never be able to feel the difference between like 50% and 60% what the 2 piece gives me. And the 4 piece is like, oh, it puts a buff up that increases damage, which is pure RNG for procs again. It's the most passive, I don't notice tier set I've ever seen in my life. You know, I get the idea behind it. Maybe they can find some way to like still make it work with the Apex. Like, Like maybe like buff chaos bolt damage instead of incinerate or whatever, right? Or some kind of like shard refund thing similar to AF for the 2-piece, right? And the 4-piece is like maybe like chaos bolt or incinerate gives you like a 1 in 4 chance to call down like a super nuclear death beam that drops a big ball of fire on it instead of like the regular one, and it applies like a debuff to whatever it hits for like 10 seconds that increases the chance for that to proc again. Something like that. That's cool. But this is basically this is just saying, hey, your Apex, it procs 10% more often. See you in 12-2. It just feels like it needs to be reworked. So I get the idea behind it, but it doesn't really feel. It's just too empty. Demo has like, you don't really feel Demo a whole lot. You might feel the extra cores coming in from Imp expiring and things, the new set and all that when they implode themselves. It depends because they expire all the same on their way back actually, but it still feels Demo. Imps are imploding themselves. It's cool, all the above. Hopefully Demo works with Imp Gang Boss or with Hell and Back at some point. That'd be sick. In Affliction, you're gonna feel Soul Conduit whenever it's working. 2-piece is bugged, you're gonna feel that. And the 4-piece, I think it's pretty cool. And having it work with stacks or individual UAs feels sick. But I think that there are some issues we need to look at here. And I know it's early in PTR, but we're running out of time to fix this stuff. Tier sets can be changed. Not a big deal. That might happen next week after, I don't know. But like the talents, they need help. Like we need it. And it can't happen after Mythic raid testing. It won't happen that late. It has to happen probably next week, the week after. Like next week is basically the off week, and the week after you probably get a build on Tuesday or Wednesday, and there's Mythic raid testing on Thursday and Friday. If it doesn't happen before then, it's gonna be a 12-2 thing or a Last Titan thing. And I want to drive home. I am passionate about Warlock, passionate about every spec, and I want them to be fun and playable. With modern day WoW combat and things, you can't have single target and AoE. The capstones are just not very fun to play with. You got to fix AF, you got to fix Destro. Capstones. Destro's tier set probably needs to be reworked fully. Yeah, that's that. So, sorry. I felt like I needed to talk about that. I didn't want to rant too long about it, but I felt very passionate about seeing the changes today. I know obviously time is limited for devs, and devs are just people. You know, they try as hard as they can, all the same, just like us, and sometimes you run out of time. But if there's any chance for any time left, I really hope we can make these changes, man, because like, I think Demonology is a blast, and I would love AF and Destro to be a blast. I want an AF tier, man. I haven't had an AF tier since Cast on After, man. But the fact that I've gotten to the point where I'm like, no changes, whatever. I don't like that about myself, but I've become sort of used to AF being subpar. I've become used to Destro being the same thing it is the last 10 years. We have time. Let's do it. Let's make some changes. Let's drive it home. I'm not going to ramble much longer. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate all the support. If you're new to the channel, want to see more videos, like and sub below. I'm streaming raid testing this Thursday and Friday on Twitch if you want to come by. I'll have it on YouTube as well. All that. Also, forgot to mention the 12.1 Patreon spreadsheet will be going live in a few days for the raid testing. If you want early access to that, it's tier 3 Felguard rank or higher, but it's always public before it goes live. The patch is, that is. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. GG, GN, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.